Okay, I think it's working. We'll see here in a second. Let me. Then the chats. That's really racially charged music. I wouldn't know, man. I don't see race. I only see one race, the human race. But anyways, so the plan is to kind of lay the foundation of an idea I have. Fix this microphone. The idea is deep research. I've been doing a lot of reading into both studies and papers and books, whatnot. And there's a couple of different aspects. Dan the chat. Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, me. There's a couple of different aspects. Obviously, it's a very complex topic. But one of the aspects is what a lot of it comes down to is essentially web scraping. And my initial idea was to build out a text-based browser tool. And I did end up building something for that, for tinyAgent specifically. And what I did was I looked into what Hugging Face did. Hugging Face was able to replicate, I think it was like 70% of what OpenAI's deep research could do against the Gaia test set or evaluation. And what they showed was a lot of it came down to the web scraping capabilities of the agent. I can pull it up here. Let me see. No, maybe you're right, Dan. Let me switch this. But what they did was, let me see here. Where is it? Oh yeah, so around 46%, all completely open source. So that really showed me that a lot of this comes down to the tooling of the agent as far as the web scraping capabilities. And what they did was pretty interesting. They ended up making a tool that was specifically for text browsing, and they built it off something that Microsoft did. Let me see if I can find it here. All right, it's not working. But anyways, what they ended up doing was they ended up making a tool based off what Microsoft had done, which was strictly focused on the text aspects, and that really increased the capability of the agent because it was able to really easily work through all the web data, all the websites it was working with. Anyway, so my thought process was make a tool for that. But as I kept building it out, what I noticed was, second. What I noticed was that obviously I don't have anywhere near the infrastructure that OpenAI is going to have. But Firecrawl, what it would do, it would allow me to bypass the web scraping infrastructure I don't have because obviously they can handle it. If you don't know what Firecrawl is, it's just a really effective tool for scraping, and you can really bypass all the captchas and Cloudflare challenges, et cetera, et cetera. So my thought process was, let's just skip all that. Let's just make a tool wrapper for Firecrawl, pass it to the agent, let the agent work off it. Zenoflow in the chat, Hugging Face ripped off Magnetic One for real. Yes, everyone's just ripping off everyone. But they did give credit to their credit, and they made it very clear that they got it from Microsoft. And I made my own tool as well, and I make sure to also give credit. So everyone's just ripping off each other, quote unquote. That's what open source is. But anyways, so my thought process is, let's make a tool. Let's make multiple tools, wrap those around the way that tinyAgent can use it, pass it to tinyAgent, work with the OpenAI structured outputs that they already have built in-house, essentially. So essentially what you end up making is 3-4 different tools, let the agent use them as it sees fit. And the key here is to be able to iterate on the initial prompt. One of the reasons why OpenAI asks you to give more detail when you do a deep research is because the agent needs to get really deep and needs to cover a variety of different things, right? Like spread out, but also needs to go deep on those. Katie Card in the chat, that tuna, it's me. It's your favorite streamer. Yeah, so that's my thought process. Make those tools for the agent, pass them to the agent, and we can at least deal with the web scraping by having Firecrawl use it. So yeah, I'm just going to jump into it. So got my environment. Let's do a virtual. And then I'll do touch. Give me 1 second. I have somewhat of an idea of what I want to use. Obviously, tinyAgent. Unfortunately, I could not get the package name for it. It was a lot of pip packages are now like domain names. They get taken pretty early on, and all the good ones are gone. Give me 1 second here. I'm looking for my requirements file. Thought I had it here. Bear with me. Okay, whatever. We'll just make a new one. So I'm gonna use Pydantic. We're gonna use OpenAI. Tenacity, which I don't think this is the right name for. Let me double check it. No, it is. Okay, they got a good domain name. So we got tinyAgent, Pydantic, Firecrawl, of course, and I think Firecrawl is Firecrawl -py. Double check. Yeah, it's Firecrawl Firecrawl. I think that's it. Gonna chat, please leave some room for close AI. I can, man. I got bills to pay. Hang on, let me. So, gonna activate the environment. I install, and then we'll get going. It's gonna take a second to install. Right, and let me get a new tab here. And I like to have one tab specifically for Aider. Aider is probably the best open source coding agent, quote unquote. It's not really an agent, but it's effective enough for one-off divs. Anyways, so got that going. So yeah, so let's just make let's do touch main. Okay. Oh wait, did not put it in here. All right, so I'll start now. And first, I'm just going to bring in all the packages that I need to bring in, and then we'll go from there. Let me do. Then we'll do typing, list, dict. A lot of people don't like how Python handles this. I actually prefer it. Then we need to bring in our environment, files. We'll use, oh, actually, I don't think I installed this. We'll do load underscore dots, right? He said, "Can I get your playlist?" Yeah, for sure. I'll post one of these days. From tinyAgent, and this is my own library, so I should probably know what the decorator imports are. Then I got to bring in the agent. So my library brings in the tools and then the agent itself. Then we're gonna bring in Pydantic. Pydantic, we're gonna be using the base model, obviously. Got this mic in front of my face. Field, and then we'll bring in validation as well. Then I'm gonna bring in Firecrawl. I want to say it's Firecrawl app. But they have a bunch of, Jesus Christ, they have a bunch of SDKs. I just can't remember. I was using a Node one recently, and then from OpenAI, we'll import async. Lastly, from Tenacity, we will import the retry, which is what we're really after, but a couple of extra nice to haves. Weight, random, exponential. Did I bring that in correctly? Wait, retry. 1 second, I'm reading the documentation here. Usually I just handle my own retries, but I was introduced to Tenacity recently, and apparently that's the way to go. Okay, yeah, I think I'm wrong that right. Exponential, and then stop after attempt. Okay, so I think that's it for the libraries. So let me follow best practices, right? Let's call this tinyAgent deep research. Tools for tinyAgent to make a deep research like flow Something like that. Click on the chat. Tenacity is all right. I use it. Yeah, I got it from one of my coworkers. We were talking recently about some retry stuff that we were doing at work, and they were pretty surprised. They were like, "Why are you making your own? Why are you making your own retries? Just use Tenacity." So I checked it out this week, and it was pretty effective. So yeah, I think we'll start using it out from now on. Programmers, we want to make all of our own stuff for some reason. So now I'll load the environment, and let me just, Jesus Christ. Let me follow best practices, of course. Always best practices. Never ever not following best practices. So the environment config. So I'll just load the environment, and I'm gonna be making a tool for the, what do you want to call it? I guess the OpenAI calls, which really you shouldn't need to make it, but I want to strictly stick with OpenAI because their structured response is probably the best one out of the box. You could use any open router model that's, geez. Sorry about that. So you could use any open router model that supports it, but I really would just want to make it simple and stick with OpenAI. Okay, so because of that, I will bring in, let's call it a model. And hopefully they haven't changed the name. Let's bring in, actually, is it 4.1? Let me see 1 second. Let's see. What is the name? Also might try O3 Mini. Whatever. Let me stick with 4 for now, and then we'll go back if we get this working. All right, so we're bringing the model. Bringing in the model, and then here's where we start the actual configuration for the flow. See. Okay, so we'll say currency equals, honestly, we'll just stick with 2 for now. You could probably do that in the environment. Do the OpenAI client. And I want the async version. API key, we will pass that from the environment. Close that. And then we bring in Firecrawl. And then their documentation is not the best, but this should work. So we just need the API key. Let me do this. I messed up my. So I was using Ubuntu before on this machine, and I ended up getting really frustrated with the game quality. So I just probably shouldn't have done it, but I just crashed out basically and installed Windows 11. And my LSP stuff and NVIM stuff is not working correctly. So I'm kind of going in blind here. Okay, then I'm bringing the URL, and I think from what I understand, Firecrawl you can run it locally as well. But for now, I'm just gonna stick with the. I'm gonna stick with the. Oh, 1 second. I'm gonna stick with the API. But it is interesting that you could run Firecrawl locally. Was not aware. Okay, so this is pretty much all the configuration for this. And again, you could probably pass this off in the config file. I just want to have a basic config for this and maybe some logging. I can never remember this syntax. Message. I think so. Okay. Yeah, doesn't really matter. Okay, so I got all the configuration now. So just bringing in the basics of what I need from Pydantic, Firecrawl, and OpenAI, and obviously tinyAgent. The configuration is essentially just the model and the concurrency. These things, again, could probably be handled somewhere else, but just to make it one file, I'll stick with it here. So now I'll bring in the Pydantic stuff. And I've been looking into a couple, and Katie, maybe you can point me in the right direction here, but I've been looking into a couple of Pydantic and Zod-like libraries. And I really like Zod. I think Zod is probably the best one that I've used. Just, I don't know what you want to call it, like, people call it like development ergonomics. That's probably the best one, but it's only for TypeScript. Pydantic is good. And it doesn't hit the same. And maybe that's just me. Pydantic, let's say. Oh. Sorry. So we'll do a class. Double checking. Just checking the documentation here. It really just be a couple of classes. I just trying to remember if the OpenAI, the close AI documentation, if it's you can just pass it, or if I should. Whatever. Let me just call it query. We'll pretty much just be using the base model. call this query string. Call this search. And then we want to have like an essential goal for the LM to follow. And I found that you really need to push the smaller models. So the idea here is we're gonna give it like a SERP and say here and get the ones that move us forward. Actually, give me 1 second. This is driving me a little crazy. Just do what make sure I have everything installed. Okay, just want to get all these Mason things installed. And hopefully, yeah, Pyrite, hopefully that was the one that. Okay. Okay, so move the search forward, and then we'll do okay, whatever. Call this a search batch. This will just be the queries themselves. So list. Say search query. This needs to be a list, of course. And one last class, which will be, let's call it digest. So the idea is we're not just doing a basic search. We are passing the what's the word? Not learnings like any actual learning, just we don't want to have a basic query because that will cause it to be not deep, quote unquote. Do questions. So list as well. Okay. Here. The nuts. Oh yeah. Some of it is just I'm not crazy. All right, so I got the configurations. I got the classes for Pydantic to enforce that structure, quote unquote. And then, 1 second, I'm getting a call here. Me. Sorry about that. I was getting a call. Got a mistake here. And I swear this is closed. And I thought the PEP 8 would it should automatically fix it. But it's not. Okay, whatever. We will it should still run. It's just OSP issue. Okay, so now that we have all the enforcements, quote unquote, now we actually bring in the tooling. So the first one is just using, rather than using the regular LLM call from tinyAgent itself, I'm going to bring in the one for OpenAI so that we can use the structured outputs. And I probably do have a way to wrap it around, but I'm just going to straight up use it, their version versus mine. So with tinyAgent, you can bring in a tool with the decorator. Yeah, okay, there we go. So now it fixed. Then we'll do a retry. This from Tenacity. Let's do some limits here. Okay. Second. Okay. Type cannot be assigned. Not sure if you guys can hear my dog. It's going crazy in the water right now. Okay. Retry. Weight is fine. Random exponential. Oh, that's right. We need to do. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So we get the tool wrapper, and then we have the retry. So the first tool that we'll bring in is the async version of the OpenAI call. So we'll pass a prompt here. And the schema, quote unquote, is the ones we just made, obviously. And in here as well. And hopefully this doesn't flag as an error, but it might. All right, so we bring in the LM complete prompt schema. Okay, and then best practices, quote unquote. I can clean this up later, but the idea is calling it from OpenAI to use these struct out. Okay, and this one I'll take straight from AI. And it is response dot parse. And then here we'll bring in the model, which we have defined already. Oop. Then we pass it the input. Which in this case, it'll just be role and the system. So the usual suspects, but we want to basically enforce it. And most models have gone pretty good to where you can honestly just ask the model to give it to you, and it will. A lot of times, it will just straight up give you the it will give you the structured output, quote unquote. But obviously, due to the what do you want to call it? Due to the creativity of LLMs, we can't rely on that. Do user, and same thing here. And then here is the reason we're doing this. Want to get the structure response. And then we'll do sorry about that. We'll do the object that we're returning, and it will be lastly, we just return it. Do this. Okay, so so the idea is we make a tool for LLM, or I'm sorry, for the specific LLM call to OpenAI to get the structured output. And now tinyAgent will be able to use this. And there's a couple more tools that we have to build out. The first one is being just the overall generation of the search query. And then Firecrawl, and then the recursive nature of it, recursive nature of the tooling. And then we just let tinyAgent go from there. Okay, so that's the first tool. Go into the next one. Let's do another tool. And for this one, we don't need retries, or we shouldn't even need retries. It'll just be either wrapped or really shouldn't need to. Second, let me check something. Okay, let me just keep going. This is acting up. Strings. This will be an int, obviously. And we'll go full JavaScript here. As this. Okay. So the tool will be to generate the search queries and then pass that in the context of the LLM tooling. So essentially just a prompt asking the LLM to, what's the word? Asking the LLM to make better questions, quote unquote. And wondering if I should make it more, what's the word? Programmatic? But really I just needed to pass a prompt. Okay, let me, here, I'll bring in Aider here. Do and actually I should be able to the main 70 and as the cursive search in the best practice. So we'll let Aider see what it comes up with. Okay. I thought I did. You know what? I need to. Oh, we're here. Actually, no, we're not. Let me do this. I haven't. I've not used Aider in a bit, so let me. I'm not crazy. I have a bunch of Elias, so maybe it's not picking up correctly. No, it should. Um, hmm. Usually, and maybe they have an update or something. I would hate to use cursor for this. We'll see. All right, maybe I forgot the. Hang on, let me. How to add. War was. It was. Hang on, let me do this. I don't know where it's getting C from. But the prompt I have is just a simple prompt. Hmm. Um, Not crazy, right? Okay, I think I got my first Twitch. What's it called? What do you call this? Spam? 1 second. How do I ban someone? Bear with me. Don't really use Twitch. Um, sure. Second, I think this is it. Hmm. Okay, I think that's it. So yeah, let me double check the aider commands to make sure nothing changed. And it might be something with my Elias bash command, which I cannot change. Cause well, I mean, I guess I could change it, but I'll turn off the screen. So I'm passing my API key directly, but we'll see. Okay, so try one more time. We'll do. Okay. Yes, my first Twitch. I think I banned them. My first Twitch spam. Can I? 1 second. Can I remove them? Edit. Okay. I think I blocked them, but I'm not sure what that. how to delete it. Anyways, so I got my iter here. So we're gonna say read the codebase or read the main.py file. Give me a short summary, and actually now let me just 70 figure out the uh sure. Something like kitty car. We're big streamers now. Yes, we're huge. Hmm. Strange. Usually doesn't ask me to override it. Jeez. Second. Let me do this. Let me switch to architect mode, and then read the function. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Ah, Jesus Christ. 1 second. Okay. Switch to architect mode. Read the code around line 70. The generate search queries. Gen. We want to implement this in a way where it's prompt passes topics and learnings batch. Let's see what it says. If not, I'll just raw dog what I have. Go from there. Okay, yeah, I just spelled it wrong. Which usually I have a plugin that handles it for me, but again, this is a new environment, so we'll see. So we'll see how. Okay, so let me see the changes I made. So yeah, this is what I was trying to avoid. So AGI is not going to take our job anytime soon. Because what I was trying to do, I was trying to essentially say, hey, here's a prompt. Want to actually pass a topic and then join that with the, well, I guess that's not terrible. But you want to, I don't know why you would pass. Well, you pass the prompt, you pass the search batch. I don't think that's going to work. But I'm going to just try it. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Okay, let me do, wait, did I pass the, 1 second, I'm double checking. Okay, whatever. Let me keep going here. So we wait the LM completes. I'm passing the prompt. We're passing the schema, which I think that's the issue. I'm thinking out loud here, or I'm thinking not out loud. Yeah, I don't think we need to pass the schema. But then it's calling it. Okay, let me. Oh, second, my monitor is going off here. Prompts. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay, that makes more sense. But um, now let me do this. So we'll say prompt equals given Okay, here's what I'll do. I'll suggest how it should do it, and then we'll see if I can get it in to fill the middle. Which I'm using R1, which is probably not the ideal. Model. But honestly, at this point, I've had my config so messed up that I really don't want to switch at this point. And then we'll do something like batch. Here we'll await the LLM complete. Something like you are a LLM. No, you are a then somewhere here is where it should ask like the actual. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna see what it should look like, and then we'll bring in R1 here. Hit it on the chat. Quen3, not bad for code. Don't feel over or else effort. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Seems like they overdid it on some of these newer models. I haven't tried Quen3, so maybe I'll here in a second I'll switch over to that. Like the plan, the code that I implemented. Read the code and create plan. What? Yeah, you really got you gotta bust out the whip on these models sometimes. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let me check this here really quickly. Okay, 3 seconds. So I hope it's just not an LSP issue. Oh my god, I keep doing this. Uh, okay, whatever. We will assume that I'm a genius and keep it moving. Hmm. Okay, so keeping it moving here. We will do the next tool, which is after the after the actual queries are made. Here's where the Firecrawl and all the web scraping logic will live. So we'll say, let's find the function here. Which this shouldn't change in theory, but I'll probably end up making it a command line, so we'll do this for now. Get a string. Then we'll do check the Firecrawl stuff here. 1 second. From Firecrawl imports options ops. Turn the markdown. It doesn't really matter what we return it as, but because we'll probably end up making our own report. But just to follow their documentation, I'll do markdown. Then we'll do Firecrawl search. And then here we should return the stuff, if you will. And we can just do okay. So that should be shit for the markdown, or I'm sorry for the Firecrawl tool. And then we need to basically digest it. Cool. So another async function, and here we'll do, you know what? I think I know what the issue has been. I was having some issues with my save on, what do you call it? Save on, or format on save. And I had messed around with it because I was doing some absolute imports, and it just kept throwing me off. And I was like, you know what? Let me update this. And I was like, let me not forget to turn that off or go back to it. And of course I did. Um, so I think that's what it is. So that's why I'm getting those weird. And this is pretty much saying how deep, quote unquote, it goes. And this is what I mean. Like a lot of this comes down to the ability to web scrape effectively. And obviously, if you're a huge organization like OpenAI, you have a lot of infrastructure. Then we do something like so essentially we bring in the snippets together. And really we should what's the word? We should have this working with the search queries. So let me do this actually. I keep hitting tab. So prompts, we'll say something like, probably a multi-string one. Summarize. Follows. I think I'm doing some of this. Some of this. What am I saying? Some of this multi strings wrong, but we'll clean that up here in a second. So we're saying max follow. Follow up questions. And then essentially it's almost like a join. And I usually just let the LLM clean up the prompt logic, not the actual like programmatic logic, but just like the actual string variable. Let's see here. Yeah, I can already tell it's a issue here. But again, we'll see. Okay, we'll see if R1 can cut it. Um, okay. Then after this, it's pretty much just making it recursive, and then basically passing that to tinyAgent, and we'll see where we're at. Zocti AI is boring. I agree. It's very boring. The most boring, you could say. Okay, yeah, so I cleaned up most of the strings, which is just what I wanted. And then I'll make a recursive tool, pass that to the agent, and we'll see what we need to do from there. It keeps telling me the base model, but I know it is. It's gaslighting me. Okay, so recursive tool. Really, what we're saying here is like once you get the extra, what do you want to call it? Extra deep queries, quote unquote. Keep going. And we really don't want to use. Yeah, you wouldn't want to. I mean, you could pass it to the agent, but we can just take care of ourselves. Whereas the as the like extra queries and whatnot, that I want to let the LLM handle that, just because as it starts searching, it will make it better. Okay, then I need to pass some logic just in case. We're tracking what we visited, quote unquote. Really, what the Firecrawl API gave us. Should also be a string. Although, yeah, no, it was a string. So dictionary. Let's put an alarm myself. Okay. Then we'll do first. It'll be empty. The visited. Similar situation here. Once we hit this, it should be done. It's not giving me my auto tabs, but whatever. Turn That'll be something like add up learnings. We pass that here. And then we say, I mean, I guess you could, not, I mean, it is sources. That doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, it is sources, but not in the traditional sense. All right, whatever. So, yeah, so we get this, and then what we're saying is that'll be when we're done. We're passing the not passing the kind of top there. The generated search results. I need to check this because I'm still not convinced that it's not just a weird Vim issue. This will be concurrency. Um, so you want to pass concurrency. I think the best way to handle this. But we'll just start and we'll let the muse just flow here. Okay, and then here's where we start bringing in some of the logic over the tooling. Similar thing here, but instead we're also passing the snippets. I think this is the bit of logic that will be like the real engine, quote unquote. So it's probably the one to spend the most time on or improving. Because if you wanted to, you could add rag, you could add a bunch of stuff on top of it, which I already have rag out of the box with tinyAgent. More nice to have. I don't want to implement it right now just because it'll take me longer. I want to finish this soon. I want to get like at least version 1, quote unquote, finished first. Second, I'm adjusting my mic. Okay, so the research goal, then we were saying, I guess you want a, not the prettiest, but again, I just want to get somewhat of a working version, and then we'll jump from there. Okay, once we get the follow-ups, we're basically just waiting. And by now, it should have a good understanding of what we're trying to do. So, well, hopefully, and these should probably be variables, but learnings, we're actually ingesting it, quote unquote. And then lastly, just a list of what we hit, quote unquote. Crazy. We are waiting. Sorry about that. Hopefully I didn't have that on the whole time. Where was I? And then plan this out. Plan the Latin, the URLs. Now originally I was going to make this the logic separate, but then I'm just gonna throw everything in here. Now we just gotta return it. Visited. It's the list that we plan. In theory, we should not need to do, but better to just. Okay. So that's like the main engine, quote unquote. Now that we've defined the tools and the recursive agent, what I'll do is I'll pass it to tinyAgent, and I will say, tinyAgent, here you have these tools. Go ahead and create a report on X topic. Okay. All right. So now we just do the classic. And then here's where we bring in tinyAgent. I swore I had something to. tinyAgent, which is my library, and I think the latest version doesn't matter if I pass it directly to the agent, as long as I. Again, I should know this, right? So yeah, so now I'm just defining the tools that I just built out, saying the overall goal, which I have a specific function for chaining these stuff together. But you can also just do what I'm doing, just pass the tools. Because at the end of the day, all I really care about is tooling use. And that's why I'm not going to make it any more complicated. Make a report on the state of AI agents. Just make a report, and then we're just going to say we're going to say results equals this will be the defaults, and eventually I can make it get a CLI tool to pass this topic. Yeah. Okay, and we could just print the. Well, that really won't give us. Now let's just print it. Yeah, I'll just print the whole thing, but you could make it a lot nicer. Okay, now I got to bear with me. Let me get my API keys. I don't want to. Okay, so got the environment files and the config files. I'm sure there's some cleanup that I gotta do. Look. So I'll give Ader a quick overview and then I'll see what I'm working with. Yeah, some basic syntax issues, which usually would get caught by my plugins, but something's off with them. And I'm not one of these guys who's going to spend 30 hours configuring my Vim. So just I'll probably end up getting a new or backing up my old config and passing it to this one. It's good to me. And it was just basic syntax issues, so no logic. Well, off the top, no logic issues. So if this works, then I will make some testing and whatnot. For now, I was just trying to get the MVP, if you will. So let's see if this works. Can I? Okay, me. I might have brought that in incorrectly. Let me see here. No, that's correct. Hmm. Let me see here. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm dumb. So that should be it. Actually, save. Okay. Okay, another async OpenAI. Now what I have here. Okay, maybe what's it called? Maybe R1 got a little excited there. Here, let me just make sure I'm not insane. Check the other stuff really quickly. That looks good. Sure, that's right, but let me just double check here. Oh. Fuck that, I forgot. And also have to do this here. app. Let me double check the documentation. Okay, yeah, it should be app, and there's only one instance of it, so let's see. Let's see. And if I have any issues here, I'll actually. Okay, yeah, I'll let me swap really quickly to 0.3. Let me swap quickly to 0.3. Give me 1 second. Oh, sorry about that.